I had just messing around with the RCZ. There's RCZ. And that's not a bad car, but it has the same problem all MRs have. You get back in there in that chicane section before the start line, and you catch one of those bumps, and your rear is coming around. It's a good thing I like about this car is the engine's in the front, so if you do something to the rear, it's not quite near as dramatic, because it doesn't have all the weight back there to sling it around. What I'm still trying to figure out is something that's been occurring recently, is how these guys driving these front-wheel drive cars are spinning them out. Theoretically, it should be impossible to do unless you're trying to. Everything's on the front tires. Back's just going along for the ride. What the hell? Did I miss the, thought I wanted to... Oh, okay. Entry opens in 1 minute, 20 seconds. Okay. And that gives me 15 minutes. Yeah, I mean, I drove the first 2 years I drove McLaren. And I did the F1 and 650S Group 4. 650S Group 4 is a fantastic car. It has some issues, but it's very steady, and you can use the rear tires up, unlike most MR cars, and it doesn't get real funky. I was real depressed to hear the BOP changes that they had back when they started messing with that car, because it really didn't need to be messed with. It was slightly underpowered, just very slightly. In a slipstream, it'll keep up with the power cars. Not near so handling as a Porsche or a Megane or something like that, but still handles like an MR car. It has some understeer in it, which you would actually expect in an MR car, because all the weight's in the middle and rear of the car, so the front's got nothing to hold it down except for the air dams. And on Group 4, that's not really a thing. You know, you have some air downflow, but it's not like it is on Group 3, Group 2, F1, Group 1. Now, the F1's a whole different beast. There's only like 2 or 3 tracks it is actually very good at. And what sold me on it, why I went with this second season, is the first season I ran FIA, which wasn't actually the first season I played. I played through half of the first season. I joined. It was in the last half of the first season that I was involved with the game in. So I decided not to get involved with it. Second season, the next season comes along, I decided I'm going to do McLaren. Well, won the first races because that was the year that was the time when they came out with Sardinia, and they had this ultra tire killing, ultra fuel using race out, and everybody else was having to stop, and I was in the F1. In the F1, you don't even have to wait for the bar to get up to where it's flashing on the screen, and you can shift gears and that thing will continue to go. And so I got to the end of the race, and I got several people who are top split drivers now on my friends list because of that race. They were like, "How did you do it?" Well, the car handles the tire wear really good, which it doesn't do anymore because they did the MR adjustment on it, and because it's got so much power, I don't have to use the entire gear. So I was able to short shift the hell out of it, and then I was also running in fuel mixture 2 and 3, and I ended up first. From that point on, I was sold on McLaren. After the second season, I got sort of tired of it because I tried to take the F1 into some of the Group 3 races, and not only was it bad in the race, it was slow enough that it was making other drivers mad at me, and they were ramming me and doing all sorts of things, pissing me off, and it's like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. So I went to Porsche for a season, exhibition season, and I didn't like that. I don't want to have to dive a corner to be able to make a pass. And then, let's see, I went to Jag for an exhibition season, and then something happened. It was Lloyd Lizette started playing again, and the first season he was in exhibition season, and he played the Dodge. And I've always been a Dodge fan. One of the first cars I ever owned was a Dodge Charger in 1973. That's one of the ones with the big 440 Magnum. But seeing how good the car was doing, and I was like, well, I'm going to give that a try. And I've been sold on it ever since. Even after the power cuts to the Group 3 car, it's still really strong. I don't agree with the fact that the Group 4 got a power cut. It's got all sorts of issues, but it didn't need a power cut. Not right now. The first thing they need to do is get the powertrain straightened out. It's getting power beyond its power band, and the Vipers never had turbos in them, so that's not a possibility. They're always a naturally aspirated V10. They get that straightened out, which I don't think they'll do, because I'm expecting after GTS the Viper's going to go away because they don't race anymore. 2019 was the last year that they raced, and 2017, and part of the reason for that is because 2017 they put a BOP on the car that made it so it couldn't win anymore. And of course Dodge they don't make the Viper anymore. SRT isn't a part of their team anymore. I'm expecting for either the Hellcat or the one that's not the Charger based one, the Challenger based one, to take its position in GT3, GT4. The Hellcat's a beast. It's got 8 gears and it can do 175 miles an hour off the showroom floor. It was so fast that the authorities in the United States told Dodge they had to put limiters on it so it can go above 150. Because it was outrunning the police helicopters. Mostly warmed up for this. I don't want to get too... When you get old, your knees and stuff start giving out. Used to be, I drove 2.5 years over the road truck, and 500, 600 miles a day at 65 miles an hour was usually a thing for me for 6 days out of the week. The way the rules are over here, you can drive for 70 hours in a week, no more than 11 hours in a stint, but that had to have a 30-minute break, and then you had to have 10 hours off. So if you worked it right, you could get up at midnight, hit the road, drive for 8 hours, take a 30-minute break, drive for 3 more hours, shut down, take a 10-hour break, and before the day was over, you'd have 3 more hours to drive. So you'd be up at like 9 o'clock at night and drive on until the next morning. And there were times whenever I had to actually do things like that, but I usually try to limit myself because when I started I was already in my 40s, so you know, it does no good to be driving a 40-ton vehicle and get out there all tired and not paying attention to what you're doing and start killing people, because you're not going to be doing it very long. If you survive, you'll be in jail. This game is finally getting back to a point. I mean, I still have some of the matches. I had one earlier where it was actually my problem instead of everybody else's. But there's been several matches here recently where it's just been some crappy drivers in them. But for the most part, everything's starting to settle down and starting to get back to a point where I feel like driving again. For a while, it's like, you know, I don't want to get out there. There's a bunch of jerk-offs out there. They don't want to race. They want to see if they can push you off the track and win that away. And that's not racing. That's cheating. I like to see. I'm barely losing any time, and I short shifted before I was even about on the red bar. I lost a tenth and a half for that short shift because the Viper has so much torque in the low end. Too wide. Too deep. For some reason that's counted as a corner cut. Or ignoring the track limit, okay. Maybe I was too far on the left there. My understanding is the way that penalty system works about the track cutting is it's based off of AI driving around the track. As you're driving around the track, there's an AI that's ghosting you. You can't see it, but it's there. And if you do something that's outside the norm for the AI wouldn't do, all of a sudden you're getting penalties. You know, the AI wouldn't go down the left side of that track like that. They'd take it easier going through the corner, but the AI would be a second or two behind me. So it's like, it's a stupid sort of system. I don't know why they can't just do track limits. I mean, you got lines already there. There's a line there, there's a line there. It's got red and white stripes on it. You got a white line right there down the side of the track. Go outside that, off track. Honestly, I think I prefer it that way because then you don't have things going on like what goes on at the end of this track. People cutting across the sausages, and right there, people cutting across that little zone there to make time. They're going off track, they're cutting track, but it's not a penalty. Yeah, I go a little bit too far to the left over there on the outside of the track, and I've got a track limit penalty. That's stupid. That's not bad. It should be in 45s though with the mediums. I'm getting slack probably because it's getting later on in the day. It's after 3 o'clock here, so. Alright, let's see what kind of lobby I get stuck in. That was horrible, the last lobby. Like, I did not belong there. Cheese noodles pretty fast. He's a dirty ass driver though. Blue Deuce I've seen before, I just don't know what his... There's Zavicic. Zavicic. I had the best ever behind me again. guy's dead. And we got one guy up there, back there right now. One bar. It's gonna be a nightmare driving around him if we can get around him. Super yeso. I'm guessing that there's some previous race altercation going on there. Somebody got rammed. Captain fronts in the frickin' Ferrari. That's gonna be a nightmare. Can chews up his rear tires. Oh good God, the guy in front of me quit. And that's a AMG in front of me, now in front of me, I think. Maybe F1, FT1. Whatever it is, it's got a Patronus. I think it's the FT1. Maybe a AMG. It's hard to tell. That lever he's got on there throws me off. broke the Porsche too, so that's good. Whew. I'll get over there. Amazing how much he was holding me up, almost a second and a half off my pace. I couldn't get past him. Damn white ass boat he was driving. Things are getting tight there. This would be perfect if that guy goes on by. Yeah, cool. He needs to get on by because he's not actually by yet. I think that's him right there. Yep. Nice and easy, let the tires warm up so we're not burning them up. Dude, that's not cool. Coming out here ghosted and coming all the way out to the outside of the track. You know what you're trying to do. gave for letting me by. He realizes he made a mistake staying out that long on those tires. Unless those are mediums. Almost got away from me. Back in, tried to kick out. Start getting chicken shit now. Oh, that's Zavicic. Just let him go. If he set a qualification time, nobody'd be touching him right now. He'd be out in front by about 10 or 15 seconds. Problem is he brought that freaking Porsche back up into my toe. beating me out somewhere in the middle of the track there. Braking too early there. Ah, shit, that's a penalty. Not lose it yet, buddy. Not over till the race is over. Ah, that sucks. Oh well. Shit like that happens. The back kicked just a little bit and made the car slide. And it put me, because I was towing the line, it put me over the line. Oh well, at least I put my door card. Got P-Steve. Went up one position. What does that put me on for? What is that? Yeah, and it looks like I'm going to have to end it there. I got to go watch animals because everybody else is leaving. So if you don't keep an eye on them, they'll start chewing on things. But, it's been a good day. I've made about 2,000, almost 3,000 DR.